What's up, everybody? Welcome to What to Watch with the Scene Snob Halloween edition. And this is a list of some of my favorite slasher films to watch during Halloween. I like to go with lesser known stuff, like maybe in a weird way, and how the world is kind of working, especially in the horror community. It seems like you have the fans of the very mainstream things, and then you have the fans of the lost films, like the VHS tapes of movies like nobody's ever seen before, and like the in between is just a lot of craziness. People have heard of it, people don't really talk about it, but these are movies that I feel like fit in that middle realm. I like that. I like, the mainstream. I go check it out. I like the stuff that's lost. I love seeing that stuff pop up and have watch parties. But in that middle realm is like kind of where I like to stick to most of the times, because there's a lot of stuff that I feel is unappreciated, and it should be appreciated for what it is. So this is going to be just a list. It's no like set number of movies that I do each time. If you went and you saw my last episode, it was about some of my favorite ghost movies to watch around Halloween. I think there was like 5 or 6 of them there. I think this one I have like 7 or 8. So it's not my tops. It's not the ones that I think that you should definitely go see. But if you're looking for something new to watch horror-wise, and maybe old, maybe new, something like that, I'm just throwing out some options for you that maybe you didn't think about before. First up on my list is Intruder from 1989. This is a Scott Spiegel movie. As you can see, even here, like, it was very heavily sold on Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi being in the movie. They both are. Now, they're good friends with Scott Spiegel. Scott Spiegel helped write Evil Dead 2. And, so they always played along with it. Like, you could see when Scott Spiegel directed From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Bruce Campbell came in, did his cameo there too. So, like, they are friends. I like how he's a part of that group. But this movie should not, if you get into it, you should not believe, like, oh, I'm getting into a Bruce Campbell movie or a Sam Raimi movie. They're in the movie. They're very evidently in the movie. Their appearances in the movie enhance the movie for sure, but it is not a Bruce Campbell or Sam Raimi movie. This is a movie lesser known about employees of a grocery store closing up at the end of the night with a killer running amok throughout the grocery store. It's a very simple slasher film, but it's fun, and there's a lot of weird, cool deaths in it that I think that everybody should go check out. But yeah, Intruder is one that's always kind of been on my radar since VHS days. And I do believe that it's one that if you don't know it, it is underappreciated. I don't hear about it enough, but you should check out. Next up on my list is The Prowler. Now, The Prowler is one from 1981 that I feel is very underappreciated. It was filmed in my neck of the woods in Jersey. It takes place in California, but it was filmed in my neck of the woods of New Jersey. And it starts out in the 40s, then bumps up to 1980, where it takes place. It came out, of course, in 81. I feel this is a movie that was overshadowed because it came out the same year as My Bloody Valentine, and they have very similar themes in how they do things. Even the masked killer looks they look very similar to each other. Now, My Bloody Valentine is a personal favorite, and I love it, but I definitely think The Prowler deserves some love towards it as well. Very cool little slasher film, very well paced, especially for its time, like being one of those, slasher films in the early days of the 80s that are following Friday the 13th and following something like Halloween or things like that really set the tone. This matched really well, and in some ways for a slasher, I think might have done a little bit better in terms of tone and atmosphere than even My Bloody Valentine did. Don't hate me for that. I'm just saying I really like The Prowler as well. So I think you guys should check that out. That's a good one if you haven't seen it. So The Prowler, and now the next one is a slasher film, but it's a pretty hardcore film, but I definitely think that it deserves to be on the list. Pieces from 1982. So the film was directed by Juan Pierre Simon. It was filmed in, I believe, Spain at the time. The stars of it, Linda Day George, she plays a police officer who goes undercover at a college where there's a serial murders going on, where women are being murdered, but with somebody with a chainsaw. There's a lot of whodunit red herring things going on in this movie. There's a lot of things that don't make any sense in this movie, like the police asking this college student to help them with the investigation. Especially this policewoman who steps up and goes undercover when they need somebody. And she's working even with the college student more than she's working with the police officers, the very capable police officers, by the way. There's a weird scene where someone comes out dressed as basically a Bruce Lee and acts that way. It's a very weird scene, but it still works. Like, I love this movie. It's so crazy. It's very bloody, very gory, but super well done. It's a lot of fun. It is definitely, in my opinion, a cult classic. I don't know that it's as underappreciated now as it was for so long, because I know Joe Bob did it on one of his marathons, and like after that, like everybody was like, pieces, pieces, pieces. It's crazy to me that so many people after that were like, this movie is amazing and fantastic. And it's like, other than like the circle of like horror fans that I knew, especially at conventions, like those are the hardcore ones that knew what this movie was. There was a point where you could only get this movie at conventions, on VHS. That's how crazy it is. But yeah, to come back and see so many people now like, oh no, it's a masterpiece, it's a work of art. And it's like, and you didn't hear this movie until Joe Bob showed it. Like, I would say it's still underappreciated in a lot of ways. But I am glad that he shined the light on it and got it out there in the open. Next up is a personal favorite. I'm not saying it's my favorite on the list, but it's a personal favorite. And it's a personal story to me because it's Alone in the Dark from 1982. I did two 81s, an 89, an 81, and 82, and another 82. And we ain't stopping. I think I have another one in the 80s as well. Anyway, Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark is one I saw years ago and then rewatched recently because I did an interview with Jack Shoulder, the director, which, go check out. He taught a masterclass in that interview. Like, we barely talked. It wasn't even an interview. It was him talking about his body of work. And a lot of people remember him as the director from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which is getting its accolades now, well-deserved, I think, because I think that is a very underrated horror movie as well. Because we want Freddy to be one way, and in that movie he's very different. And I think it deserves everything it's getting now, all the love, because that was one that I always thought was really good, and I don't know why people were hating on it so hard. And it's amazing to see a horror community that has accepted it, but the horror community did not always accept this movie. But Jack Shoulder directed it, and to kind of go back, like, this was his first movie, Alone in the Dark. Truly underappreciated. I am going to say that again, truly underappreciated. It deserves so much more respect in the horror community, especially. It stars Dwight Schultz, who played Murdoch on the A-Team, and Barclay on Star Trek Next Generation and beyond that. Now, what I love about this movie is it's a home invasion slasher movie. It was something that was different for the time that it came out. You didn't really see a lot of movies like this come out at that time. Like, the slashers were very much, mass slasher going after teenagers. This was a group of psychotic maniacs who were not masked in any way. You get a backstory on who they are. You see how crazy they are and what they're capable of doing. Attack a family, which is themes that you see more so today. So that's why I think, like, especially with everything I was saying about Pieces and the Prowler and things like that, it earning more respect today than it was yesterday, then this movie I feel like would be really appreciated if more horror fans would see it. So I'm putting it out there for sure. It stars, again, like I said, Dwight Schultz as the main character. He's a psychologist that works with these hardcore killers, mentally disturbed killers, and they all escape. Now, Donald Pleasance plays the head of the psychiatric facility where they're staying, and he himself is a bit unhinged, and he plays it really well in this movie. But the killers include Jack Palance, Martin Landau. I mean, right there, you have two powerhouse, amazing veteran actors who were veterans by the time this started. You know, this is a 1982 film, so by the time they, joined up with this, they were older actors. And let me tell you, first of all, they both do truly amazing in this movie, as well as everybody else in it. But then you have, Jack Palance kind of leading this crew. I cannot say enough great things about this movie. I truly love it, and I do think that you guys should check it out. It's Alone in the Dark from 1982, not the video game movie that came out like 15 years ago, like legit 1982 movie. Go check it out. It's a very cool slasher film that does things a lot differently. Next up on my list is a newer film I'm very excited to talk about. One I really enjoyed. It's a horror comedy called The Final Girls. Now, Final Girls came out in, I think it was 2015. Wow, it's so that long ago, huh? And it's about a group of kids, stoner kids, who get trapped in a movie. And it's not just any movie. Tessa Farmiga is in the movie, and she plays like the lead girl in that group. And it's her mother's movie that she died on set while filming, that they get trapped in. And they have to live the life of a slasher movie. I'm not doing it very much justice by talking about it. It's very funny. It's very enjoyable. It's got a lot of cool death scenes. Got a lot of cool horror movie tropes that we really like. Summer camp vibe, the whole nine. Another one of the stars in the movie that we see come in is Malin Ackerman plays her mother in the movie, the one who died on set, but she's playing her character from the movie. So it's again, I don't feel like I'm doing it much justice, but and I have heard a lot of good things from the horror community after watching it. Everybody seems to really like it. It's very favorable, but I don't hear enough talk about it, if that makes sense. And I do think more people should check it out. Really fun slasher film. Next up is another newer movie that I really enjoyed. I talked about on one of my previous What to Watches about Bloodfest, which came out a few years ago. And Hellfest, which is the next movie, came out the same year. Now, I was very much looking so it was 2018. I was very much looking forward to Bloodfest more than Hellfest. I was like, it's going to be a crazy off-the-wall movie. I really liked Bloodfest. I've given it a try since then. But Hellfest blew me away. Serious in tone, really well done slasher movie that takes place in an amusement park during a thing called Hellfest, which, as we all know, all of the amusement parks during Halloween turn into, like, for us, it was Six Flags, so it was Fright Fest, but now I live in Virginia, so like King's Dominion does something different. Busch Gardens does something different. Everybody has a horror-esque type of vibe to it. Of course, the Universal Studios does Halloween Horror Nights, down in Florida and over in California, things like that. Well, Hellfest is what they call it in the movie. It's about a group of friends who go to Hellfest, go have a good time, and they're getting picked off by a very hardcore slasher. Another very cool thing about the movie, stars Tony Todd. Tony Todd is in the movie, and if I can mention Tony Todd in a movie, then every time you hear it, you should just go see it. Tony Todd is the man. I love him. Ooh, excuse me. So I do think that Hellfest is an underrated movie that I don't hear talked about enough. I would love to see it, get more attention towards it. Maybe see it in more watch parties, things like that. It's definitely a very fun movie to watch during Halloween time. So go check that out. It's Hellfest, came out in 2018. Check out Bloodfest too, which also came out in 2018. It came out like a month before this one. So go check them both out. Maybe a cool little, amusement park of horror double feature there for yourselves. But Hellfest, in my opinion, is the better one. But I'd love to hear what you guys think too. So if you watch this, Final Girls, or any of the other movies, make sure you comment below and let me know what you think. My final movie on my list for slasher films is one that came out, I want to say about 15 years ago or so. Yeah, it was about 15. I think it was 2006. And it's still to this day is truly brilliant. Everybody I know who's seen it loves it. It's so well done, and that is Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. One that I wish there was a sequel to, and they continued on forever. So if you haven't seen this movie, kind of how it works is a student documentary crew trying to get their thesis film in, decides to follow a guy around, and it's like a mockumentary style, but really well done. The lead actress's name in it escapes me. Angela Goethals. That's right. Angela Goethals. She played the sister in Home Alone that speaks French to, she's the blonde sister in Home Alone that speaks French to Kevin, and she calls him incompetent in French. She plays the head of the crew, the documentary film crew. Leslie Vernon in the movie is truly inspiring. It's so awesome. And by inspiring, I mean to make a horror movie, not to be a serial killer. Nathan Basil plays the character. It also has Zelda Rubinstein, Robert Englund in the movie, and plenty of others. Directed by Scott Glosserman. Here's the big thing with this movie. So it goes from a mockumentary, really well done, jumps right into it's an actual horror film. But in between, things that I think are really underappreciated about this movie are you get like these flashes of Leslie's plans as he's explaining them. And so you think this is how it's going, or how it's going in his head as he's playing it out. But it's actually what's happening. He's just playing them out because like something kind of always goes wrong a little bit. And you pick up on those things as you go along the way. And then when you get to the final plan and he's perfected it, it just really turns everything on its head. But it is a truly wonderful indie film that came out in 2006. It was one my friends and I stumbled upon at Hollywood Video, and we were all like, we got to watch, you got to watch this movie. Every time one of us watched it, we'd go in and tell everybody else, you got to watch this. And I'm telling you guys now, go watch Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. All these movies are available. They're all streaming, I believe. You can go check them out anytime, or they're available on Amazon. But those are my movies, and I would love to hear what you guys think about slasher movies out. What are some good ones that maybe I didn't have on my list that you have on your list that are maybe underappreciated or lesser known? I'd love to hear it. Also, let me know if you watch any of these for the first time and what you thought. Comment below. Please like, share, subscribe, the whole nine to our channel. We really appreciate it. It helps us go a long way. But yeah, as you go on and you maybe watch these movies or rewatch these movies, share your feelings on them in the comments, or you can always message us or email us. So head over to thescenesnobs.com, links to everything over there. And I hope you really enjoy this list. I kind of put it together over the course of the week, and I think I did a pretty good job, but I would love to hear what you think. So until next time, I am the Scene Snob. We're going to have stuff all week, all month long for Snobs Horrorfest. If you want to connect with us there, use hashtag Snobs Horrorfest. And we're going to have some really cool horror movie stuff going on, and some giveaways and other stuff like that. So until next time, I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and you can check out the Scene Snobs podcast live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or you can check it out on any podcast platform or our YouTube channel anytime after that. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you guys want to join, check us out over on thescenesnobs.com. We have links for everything. The Scene Snobs merch store is open. You can check that out too. Links again on the site. Or like, follow, and subscribe on all of our social media. Again, head over to thescenesnobs.com. It's all there for you guys. Love you.